We heard several more witnesses today in the Lindsay Clancy trial. Lindsay Clancy, of course, is the woman in Massachusetts where they're having a trial to determine was she sane or was she insane when she murdered her kids. The prosecution is saying she's a cold, calculated murderer who killed her 3 children. Lindsay is saying, no, no, no. When I killed my children, I was experiencing postpartum psychosis, and therefore I need help and I need to go to a hospital instead of going to prison. That's the case we're talking about here, and we have been for 25 videos. If you're looking for other information or you want to talk about some other aspect that's not in this trial, you might want to go follow another content creator because that's not here. First up on the stand is Massachusetts State Medical Examiner by the name of Dr. Kimberly Springer. She did the autopsy on 8-month-old Callan Clancy. And it was really important, I guess, today that the prosecution had the jury look at those autopsy photos because I guess that somehow tells us if Lindsay is sane or insane. But we keep doing this parade of hate, so here we go. The cause of death was complications of mechanical asphyxia. And she's saying it was complications because he was resuscitated and his heart was beating, and then he then later died. So he died, he resuscitated, then he died. That causes the complications. Next up on the stand was the family pediatrician, Lindsay Rosshert. She did see Cora that morning. Remember, Lindsay took her daughter to the pediatrician that morning because she complained of a stomach ache. On cross-examination, the was asked about Cora. Did Cora seem like a happy, healthy child? Yes. Lindsay seemed like an attentive mother? Yes. Next up is preschool teacher Susan Bertolo. She did just testify that both parents typically did drop off, but she tended to see Patrick a little bit more. She called Cora an amazing and wonderful little girl and was a very good student. Again, I'm not sure how this goes to Lindsay Clancy's sanity or insanity, but we keep rolling right along. Next up is Bethany DeColibus, I think is the way you say her name. She's a close friend of Lindsay's. Just recently saw her in November. They get together every once in a while for dinner. She said she seemed okay. Lindsay was engaged and friendly. And she did say that Lindsay had mentioned that things really hadn't gotten better with the medications and that she felt a little bit like a zombie. On cross-examination, Bethany says that Lindsay loved her kids. She was warm and kind and loving. And then she did, Reddington got her to talk about the time when the two of them were out to a lunch together. And she said that she mentioned that Lindsay mentioned that she was having difficulties, including sleeping problems, but that Patrick was being very supportive. She didn't think her meds were working. Her friend was concerned about her and said that Lindsay had told her that day at lunch that she had changed her return to work date. Like she had a date set, she postponed the date because she still was not sleeping well. We moved to childhood friend Amy Bevins. She was apparently I think the only close friend who came to the hospital to visit Lindsay, and she had to be given permission to come in. Reddington kind of pulled some strings to get her to come in. Now, before she went in, Clancy's sister told her not to mention the deaths of the children. It would be too upsetting for them to talk about that. But I think it was on cross-examination she mentioned that previously, she thought it was maybe back in December, that she and Lindsay had had a conversation about the medications that Lindsay was on, that Lindsay wasn't sure they were working, that she wasn't sleeping well, and that Lindsay mentioned that she was having dark thoughts. Then we get Christopher Clancy. He's the former father-in-law. So he is Patrick's father. He said that Lindsay was very mothering. He saw her at Thanksgiving and Christmas and didn't seem to think that there was really anything wrong. She seemed like what he would, I guess, normal. He did tell a story. Prosecution asked about a story about Dawson, that I guess there was a moment where Dawson was being unruly and Lindsay sort of grabbed him and kind of went and put him in his place pretty firmly. Sit down, settle down kind of thing. I think everybody's probably done that to their child. And he admits on the stand that Dawson was quote, he was a handful. He was a good kid, but he was a handful. I think the way the prosecution presented this was that maybe Lindsay loses her cool with her kids pretty quickly, or that Lindsay might even be, dare I say, a tad abusive, right? Because, they gotta throw every fucking thing at her because this prosecution has gone below the belt so many fucking times. They played dirty this entire time that there isn't anything that I don't think that they would stoop to. Anyway, on cross-examination, Christopher Clancy is asked about the Clancys, like, tell me about their relationship. Do they get along? Oh, yeah. He described them as, quote, an all-American family. He did say, when asked about Lindsay's issues, even though she appeared outwardly to be okay at Thanksgiving and Christmas when they saw each other, he also said he knew, like they had spoken, and he knew she wasn't sleeping well. And then we revisit that incident with Dawson at Thanksgiving, and Reddington's like, was it abusive? And like the father-in-law's like, no. Like it was basically admonishing your child for being obnoxious, essentially. Like I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what it was. He's like, Lindsay loved her kids. Lindsay was a good mom. There is no way that she was abusing Dawson. Then they introduce Kyle Carney. He is a friend of Patrick's. And he just basically, I have no idea why they had this guy come in here for 35 fucking seconds. It makes no sense to me. But he comes in and he says he did not notice a change in demeanor with Lindsay after her first two kids, nor did he notice anything in the summer of 2022 after Callan was born. He said, in fact, one time he invited them over. Now, Callan didn't come, just the two older children. He invited them over for like a backyard fire pit party thing. And he said that she seemed reserved but normal, and that was really the only time he had seen her in a while. And then he's off the stand. Thank you very much. Next up is Sergeant Andrew Ciaccio, maybe? He is from the Massachusetts State Police. He's the guy who's in charge of like all the surveillance stuff, right? So he gets the surveillance footage from CVS and 3V. He went and mapped the route, so we knew exactly the route Patrick took that night. I'm sure he probably did some sort of cell phone tower or something. Like there's probably some other GPS stuff he did to verify where Patrick was, how long he was gone, the exact route he took. He also spoke to a couple of witnesses, and then he was the one that applied for the search warrant of the family's home. He is asked about a Facebook post from May of 2021 when Dawson was just 19 months old. Lindsay apparently put on Facebook a post about talking about him, just basically complaining about him. Like, by the way, he was just under 2, right? He was a toddler. He was just barely, not even 2 years old. She said, gosh, my son, I love him, but everything's a battle. Like, he's just rambunctious and he just wants to defy me at every turn. You can probably go read it. It's out there on the internet. You can go read the Facebook post. And I will say, I gotta say, if the prosecution is thinking Lindsay played this much of a long game, like she already disliked her son all the way back to 2021, and so she intentionally got pregnant and went through this whole postpartum excuse so she'd have an alibi to kill all the kids. That is methodical planning. Give me a fucking break. Anyway, on cross-examination, Reddington asked the police officer, like, did you have any reason to believe that Lindsay would be abusive to her kids? Did you look into it? Do you think maybe there was any harm being done? Nope. We looked into it. There wasn't any harm being done to the children until such a time as their mother took their lives. The jury is dismissed for the day, but then they stick around for a motion hearing. And I want to come back and make another video about that because I think that's going to be important because there's 4 witnesses that the defense is trying to get in.